I'm sure you're going to find something that works. It's just important to be patient and try to keep your head up because it can be hard, but it can also be amazing and fun and all of that.
Hi, welcome to the other side of autism, Life Without Words. I am your host, Leanne, and today I have a special guest with me, my very own younger son. His name is Ash, and he is going to share his experience and what it is like to grow up with a sibling with autism and what it was like in our household. So, thanks for coming on and joining me today, kiddo.
Of course, you know me. I'm always open to educating people on my experience and what I know regarding situations like this.
Yeah, so share with us a little bit about what it was like to grow up with Brennan in the house.
For me, it was always that kind of odd dynamic of, yes, I had a sibling with me. However, as I've heard from a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, you have a sibling? You just like you don't present like you did per se." And it's yeah, but that's because specifically for Brennan, like he stuck to himself quite a bit, and we did play together sometimes, but for the most part, he liked to have his space.
Yes, that he did for sure. So, at what age did you realize that there was something different about your brother? Do you remember when that was? Because I don't think I ever really told you that your brother was different, really, per se, and that he had autism.
I
Telling you.
remember because for me, like, I don't know, it's just always that's Brennan. That's just how he is. And to me,
Mhm.
like, especially being a bit younger than him and always having him around as growing up, it's just that's Brennan. He's just that's how he is. Some people are like that. Some people are social, and like are able to fully comprehend what other people are saying and what it means and regulate their emotions and all that. But for me, it's just that's him. I think if anything, like I had always just known that that's my brother and that's how he is. So it always ticked me off hearing kids be rude to people like him.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, when you two were growing up, I really actually really tried to treat you both the same. I mean, I don't even
Oh
really
yeah.
feel like I treated Brennan any different, but I don't know. I mean, you can contest to that honestly, because like, I mean, in my mind, I could be like, oh yeah, I'm treating them both the same, even though he has special needs. And yeah, I got to do things a little bit different with him. But I feel like
Mhm.
overall, when you two were growing up, it was kind of really like both of you together, and there was really no difference really per se when I looked at you both. I was just like, you both
Mhm.
had to do chores, you both had to do things like,
Right.
you know. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I would
So
definitely say like we were treated basically the same, or if anything, I feel like a good word to describe it is like you treated us with equity. You, when he needed it, you gave him that little extra boost, and that's okay because he needed that little extra. But overall,
mhm.
like, yeah, we both had chores. We both had like the expectations to be good, civilized children.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously I taught you both the rules. I really didn't, just because
Oh
Brendan
yeah.
had autism, I didn't feel like he needed to be treated any different, really, per se.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
did I need to present things a little bit differently to him?
Hmm.
Yes, of course. But there was no special needs going on. I'm like, I'm not giving this child
Yeah.
more attention and letting them get away with more versus the other child, really, per se, I feel like. But
Yeah,
again,
that's how I
like I said,
felt.
in your words, like, how was that for you growing up? Because I know, like, it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. We've had
Right.
some pretty difficult times with your brother and things like that. And I'm sure like that, me having to constantly go with him and go to appointments and this, that, and the other, I'm sure that, caused, some kind of feelings going on. And I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just me in general that was projecting that because I thought like I wasn't giving enough to you as you and your brother were growing up?
Right. I feel like the way I've always felt like it with that sort of thing is as a kid, especially, like that was just life. I didn't, it's not like you were giving him more or like intentionally leaving me out of because of it's allowed to and whatnot. And like as a looking back, like, yeah, maybe I felt like you always still made sure to like spend time with me. Like I know I was telling you about this where I was at school and I was told, hey, you have an appointment, you're going to the office. And I was like, I'm not very good about telling you I have a doctor's appointment. That's weird, but okay. And we ended up spending a day together and like went to the movies, got some lunch, had a lot of fun, just the two of us. Like I feel like you were always very good about like making sure we both had quality time with you, like both to get all together and like just one on one.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a mom, when you have 2 kiddos and you have one that has special needs and needs a little bit more attention, you definitely, like, even though you're tired and exhausted, I did try to give all, the same amount of attention to both of you, just because, like, I wanted you to feel like you were being valued and stuff as well. Um, so, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I did try to do a lot of different things with you, just the 2 of us one on one, just so you felt the love and the
Yeah.
acceptance and, stuff like that. Because, like, I know, like, a lot of kids can say, like, "I didn't feel the love, I didn't feel the support," or
Mhm.
anything like that. So, I'm glad that, it makes me feel good to know that you did feel that support, and that you acknowledge the fact, like, yeah, mom had it a little rough because of everything
Oh
going
yeah.
on, but I know and I felt the love and she still made time for me, and that's,
Oh yeah.
really, what's important too.
Yeah. Even like sometimes, we didn't always have the money to go out and do like fun things, but like some of my favorite movies and comfort movies to this day are Twilight and Fast and the Furious and Pitch Perfect because we would always binge them together.
That is true. Yeah, we did have our movies that we liked and stuff like that. So, I wanted to kind of ask you too, like, how did autism like shape your life, like in the home life, in school, and things like that? Because you and your brother were in school together for a while.
Oh,
Like elementary school, you guys were in school for a while. So,
oh yeah.
how did that, how did you handle that being at school, being with friends and if your brother's seen you and things like that, like how was that for you?
For me, honestly, I couldn't imagine life without it. I think that was a very good thing for me to have in my life because it has, like, don't get me wrong, I can still be an impatient person, but especially when it comes to Brennan and people like him, I have a whole nother level of patience and understanding. Because obviously, some people, like, they think they know what they're asking for in a very direct sense. And if you know what they're asking for, then you know. But if you don't know, like Bubs and his fish, obviously he doesn't want fish. He wants his fish crackers. And that's like literally something I've had to explain to other people is like, no, do not get him fish. He will not eat that. He's going to look at you crazy because you just gave him fish. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but I think it's overall shaped me to be a better person. Not saying that I think I would be rude or less understanding without having that, but like it's created a lot of way for me to have understanding and empathy for people. And just based off of what I know and what I've helped and done with Bubs is I'm able to like apply that to other situations like one of my old coworkers who was on the spectrum and our drive-through guy. I understood I could tell instantly when he was starting to work up to have a meltdown. And that's when I was able to be like, "Hey bud, do you want to go take a break for a bit? Do you want to go to this task?" Because I could tell that specific thing like because it was just all day for him.
Mhm.
Obviously, the average person would be like, oh, it's drive through, it's food service, just another day, and be chill with it. But him, it's a big deal to him that like
Right.
that's how his day was going. Like,
Well, yeah, because they
oh,
have the routine and stuff, and they
mhm.
they want, you know, like I don't I think they're just as hard on themselves as we are on ourselves, and we don't even
Oh
have a
yeah,
disability going
oh yeah, and especially I think because of their disability, like they're not always able to take a breath and just get back to it. Sometimes it
on.
would
Right.
be like
Yeah.
a love to the drive-through guy. Sometimes he would just have such a bad day to where if we didn't ask him if he wanted to go, and sometimes he would be like, "No, I'm going home," and I'm like, "Okay, you know exactly what you need to have your restart, have your time to yourself, and the next day we'll try again." But I know
Yeah.
it was especially hard on him because he
Yeah.
didn't understand why customers were getting mad at him.
Hmm.
And obviously, like customers, sometimes they just come in with that snappy attitude, and that really didn't help because he was confused. Like, why are you mad at me? I'm doing my job. I'm just asking you questions.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's awesome too that you got to have that experience in a workplace too, because I feel
Hmm.
like if it was anybody else in that position, with that coworker, I feel like things kind of would have probably went way differently.
Oh yeah, and especially there had been a few times where I have had to tell people that you back off. If you don't back
Mhm.
off, I'm writing you up and sending you home for the day. I don't care if
Yeah.
I'm understaffed. You are not going to treat them that way. It's not right.
No.
And they knew it. They knew it wasn't right.
Yeah. No, I think it's great because you are right. Like you growing up with a sibling, you're in a whole different world. Like you see the
Yeah.
world totally different. Whereas I would say, like, I didn't grow up with a sibling that had a disability. So I seen the world differently too in that way. But however, I was also very much so taught to be very understanding. Um,
Hmm.
and don't be quick to judge and really get to know somebody, like give somebody an
Oh,
actual
yeah.
chance, and don't judge them. So I had that compassion growing up too, and I know in school for me, I got to work in the special eds classroom and stuff like that. I would go volunteer my time, and again, I was same way. I was, I'd be like, you keep messing with this person and I'm just going to beat the crap out of you.
Hmm. Right.
So I mean, granted, don't go getting in fights. That's not what I'm promoting here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Don't go getting into fights. It's not worth your time. And depending on the situation, it's not worth charges to
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
And I feel like
yeah,
especially like, yeah, growing up in school, we had that slight difference to where we weren't in the same middle school at all. I mean, A, because he went to a different
yeah,
one, but B, we just even if we did, we wouldn't have seen each other. He would have already been in high school by the time I was in seventh grade. But for me, it's like in elementary school, I remember times where like he and his classmates would be out playing, and because all of the other kids like wouldn't quiet down and listen to the teachers at the end of lunch, we had to sit there, and then they were like, okay, consequences have actions. You have to line up against the wall now, and this is the amount of time it took for you to quiet down and listen to us, so we're going to sit in silence. And I remember one girl she was stimming. She was verbally stimming while on the swing. She was happy. And I just
mhm,
remember some boys were really mean about it and making fun of her. And of course, you know me, I was a quiet child, but that was one of the few instances where I shouted at them to shut up
yeah,
and to be nice because you don't understand her.
yeah,
And like there was times like that. There's very few instances like that where I had caught people being mean. But I remember at some point, because they knew I was his sibling, I got asked if I would like to come to gym class with them and like kind of help navigate and whatnot. And I was like,
Mhm.
first off, I love my brother. I'd love to go like play with him and his classmates during class time. But also like it was typically math class. And I was like, yep, I don't want to be in math. I'd rather go hang out with my brother. And even into high school, like I know that the first like year for me was kind of rough. I didn't really have many people to sit with, but my lunchtime just so happened to be the same exact time as Bubs and his classmates. So I would go sit with them and talk with them, eat lunch. I remember he had a classmate mate named Michelle. And like I told you, even like a few years ago, I was just out working and whatnot. She recognized me, and obviously at the time she knew me as Brennan's sister, and she was so happy to see me, and I was like, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, you remember me. I love that. I always loved hanging out with Michelle. She's such a sweetie.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's always very rewarding to see him out and about, not in a school setting, but out and about and stuff like that. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's wonderful that she was still recognize you. That just means you had such an impact on her life that
Right.
is something that she remembered, which is incredible. So
Oh
let's
yeah.
shift gears a little bit here. So, because I'm kind of interested to know like the emotions that went through everything. Because, like I said, I know there was times that everything wasn't okay, and things were
Yeah.
kind of like crazy and stuff like that with your brother and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, did you ever feel like really confused or frustrated or ever felt left out at all?
I feel like for me, like I never really had any point in time where I was confused. Cause like I said, like that's just him. And I grew up with him, so I grew up understanding and learning what his needs are and what would help him and help him better understand and whatnot. There were definitely times that I was frustrated because obviously sometimes I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, "Ah, it's so simple. Just listen, just do it." And it's like, but I got to take a step back and breathe and be like, but it's not that simple for him. As simple as
Yeah,
it is for me, it's not for him. And it was
right.
frustrating as I'll get out. And there's been times where I had been mad at him, like after the incident with the teacher where she attacked him. Like after that, like it frustrated me and it made me sad because I'm like, he can't work through it like I could.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
sorry, it
Yeah.
still frustrates me because he was on such a good track to like even have a part-time job and do all this stuff. And literally within minutes, she basically just ripped that from him because, I mean, first off, she should have never been in that classroom as a substitute.
Hmm.
But
I agree.
it's just frustrating because we had worked with him so much and he
Hmm.
was on track for really good things. And that literally set us back years and years and years while we
Yeah.
have tried to get him help to help him work through all this stuff. And
Well, and it
like
really turned our house upside down. It really
it
did
did.
because he changed.
Yeah, like as sad as it to say, like I do remember walking on eggshells at a point because
Mhm.
anything could set him off. As little as being like, "Hey, how are you?" could set him off for the day.
Yeah.
And it was sad and frustrating because she basically took away the brother I had known.
Right. And that I'm sure that was really hard for you.
It was. It was really hard because I
'Cause I
went
feel
from
like you
having
and your brother were pretty close. Like, I really feel
oh
like
yeah,
'cause you would bring him into your room and hang out and draw on your,
hang out, draw, dress him up because he
Facebook,
let me
dress him
dress him
up.
up like a princess.
Yeah,
And
'cause he didn't know any better.
right? And even like I had those old like learning to write, learning to read workbooks. And I just thought it was a fun game and he liked it and whatnot. So I would work
Right.
with him with that stuff too. And it just
Yeah.
sucked because we go to school and I come home and that's my brother, but that was not my brother.
Right. Yeah. That really turned the whole household upside down.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, then we had to worry about your safety as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Like, obviously, I would try to be as careful as possible and stay as patient as possible because I knew that wasn't him and he was dealing with a lot of stuff he couldn't express. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard sometimes because sometimes, like, the best option was to just stay in my room. Or,
Mhm.
like, on the few occasions, like, don't get me wrong, it sucks and it hurt like hell. He's got one hell of a punch, but, like, there had been a couple times where he lost his temper and punched me. It was only once, and I could tell immediately he didn't mean to, and he felt bad. And like
Mhm.
it still hurt and whatnot, but it also just kept me like on a hey, this is something I need to watch out for. I need to always be prepared to like possibly have to try and defend myself. I've never had to because he's always realized what he did and instantly snapped out of it. And like you know him because he would get so upset after realizing what he did.
Yeah.
He like sometimes would spend weeks to months like in and out of stages of crying. Um,
Yeah. It was just, he kind of like went from 0 to 100 within like a second. It was weird.
mhm. Like I could tell that even he didn't even have time to process what he was feeling and what he was doing. Because I've had
Right.
other people talk to me about that and they're like, "Oh my god, he hit you?" And I was like, "He did." Like
Yeah.
that is what happened. However, you also got to think about my aspect of it in how I've known him in the fact that he's never been this way. It's
Yeah.
just he didn't have time to think before he was acting. And it's hard to work with people on that when they can barely even express like what they're feeling or literally simply that they have a tummy ache.
Yeah. That is true. That is really true. I
Oh
agree
yeah.
with you 100%. So, how were you able to deal with those feelings? Like, was there anything that you did, like, after we had that turn of events and your
Mhm.
brother, like, wasn't like, it was your brother, but it wasn't your brother? And I know that probably brought up a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions for you, but how were you able to deal with it? Like, were you able to do to work through those emotions and come to terms and be okay with it? Because, most people would hold a grudge and just be like, yeah,
Oh
no.
yeah. Most people would hold a grudge. I know that there's definitely people who, if they were in my exact shoes at the time, that it probably would have turned into a situation where they left home and they never came back and never wanted to be around them again, which I can't entirely blame them in a
Mhm.
sense that it's a lot. I feel like for me, it was just I always knew and had to always keep it in mind that that's not my brother. And like it is, but like that's not who he
Right.
truly is. And that it's going to take a lot of time and effort in fighting for him, but he's not going to stay that way forever. And especially like, obviously, I'm about to move, but in the time I've been back home and whatnot and have seen him, like, you guys have seen it, I've seen it, like, he reminds me of before the incident.
He does. He's definitely coming out of his shell, huh?
Oh,
Having the
yeah. Coming
having
out
the
of his
farm and
shell.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, he's tending to his animals. Like, I don't, he's not really ever in an uppity, like, stressed out mood anymore. Like, obviously, sometimes he is, and that happens to the best of us. Everyone has those days. But
Right.
there's even been times where, like, I almost cried once because he would get into his giggly fits where he's like laughing and singing to himself.
Oh,
And
I remember
I
those.
hadn't seen or heard that in years.
Yeah. I know it's been a long time, huh?
It
Yeah.
has been, because, like, don't get me wrong, he didn't have those, like, terribly often, but, like, often enough, I would say probably at least once a month, he'd be in his little giggly mood. It just hadn't come out in so long, so when I heard it, I was like, "That's my brother."
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. Um,
Right.
I wanna kinda shift gears a little bit too because, like, so I wanna know, like, when you because of your brother being different and stuff like that, did that ever hold you back from wanting your friends to come over? And if so, how did that make you feel? But if it didn't, how did you explain it to your friends about your
Yeah.
brother?
Um, like, you know me, I didn't really have I mean, first off, didn't have a ton of friends. I was just never that big of a social butterfly, especially as a kid. I liked my tight-knit small group of my friends.
Yeah.
And like I didn't necessarily invite people over. Granted, though, that also wasn't because of like a I was ashamed. It's just kind of a we always decided like, you know what, yeah, that person's house. We hang out there and like occasionally they'd come over still, but the way I described it is, well, I mean, first off, with my very first friend coming over, Sadie, I don't think I even like actually described it to her. I was just like, that's my brother. He's my brother. He's probably not going to want to play. And of course, Sadie was also a very kind person and was my bestest friend. And she
Mhm.
just got it. Like, even for years, like in her head, it was just like yeah, that's brother.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He doesn't necessarily like come out and hang out with us and whatnot, but like he's there and he's chill.
I would have to
And
say all of your friends that came over always constantly said hi to him. It was,
oh yeah,
they
I
they
gotta
ne
say,
they never, like, just didn't talk to him. Like, they
oh
would try
yeah,
to talk to him and say hi and be friendly and stuff like that, so
yeah, that's something I gotta say. And I mean, I think that's just because of the kind of people I've been friends with is they've always been very nice, and whatnot. And as I got older, I would be like, hey, my brother has autism. That doesn't mean anything bad. It just, he's a little different. He's probably not going to really talk to you, but you can still say hi and ask him how he is, if you
Mhm.
want. And all of them were just like, okay, that's all right. Like none of them ever had anything bad to say. And even like Faye, she didn't come over to the house like terribly often. We usually hung out either in the parking lot or at her house. But even her, like, even now, like every so often, she'll be like, hey, how's Brennan doing? Because she knows how rocky of like the few years we had. And
Right,
even
yeah.
now, like every time she hears about something good, like she's always so excited and so happy for him and for us because she knows that's a really big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. I mean, you gotta celebrate the little things, the little milestones and stuff like that for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so, um, we're coming close to the end, and I kinda wanna just wrap this up and stuff like that, and so if there was anything that you could say to other siblings to give them any type of support or make them feel better because some kiddos they do feel shame around having
Mhm.
a sibling with a disability. And I mean, and that's okay. It's feelings. It
Yeah.
happens, you know. So is there anything that you like any message of hope or anything like that you could leave or give somebody that could be in this situation that could be listening to the podcast and being like, wow, I want to be that kind of sibling. How do I do that?
I would say, like, first off, take a deep breath. Everything's gonna be okay. But just try to be as kind and compassionate as you can. Like, look into other people's stories, listen to things that have helped other people. There's, of course, not every family has had taken their time to accept it and gotten on the bandwagon like you did to fully help them. They either are still not the best with their kiddos with autism, and they could definitely be doing more. And you can't always make people do more, but especially if you're in that particular situation as a sibling, just be patient, just be kind. If you find things that you think might help them, like sensory toys, like you're upset, let's go for a little walk. Calm
Mhm.
down, let's breathe, sort of thing. Just just find those, try them. If they don't work, they don't work. But I'm sure you're going to find something that works. It's just important to be patient and try to keep your head up because it can be hard, but it can also be amazing and fun and all of that.
Yeah, well said. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you taking the time to sit here and just have this conversation about your brother and what our home life was like. This is what we're about. We're about being raw and telling the
Mhm.
truth about things and stuff like that. So, if you really liked what we had to say today, please smash that like button, leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out if you need some kind of support as well. We're happy to give you that support. So, thank you again for joining us on the other side of autism, Life Without Words. And we look forward to another episode.